This is my 1988 square body dually. The whole point of this build is to turn it into an old school RV tow rig. It has a 12 valve Cummins, manual transmission, custom suspension, and a whole lot of homemade problem solving. But right now it's still fighting me. The suspension is hitting the bump stops, the transmission cross member needs work, the gauges aren't cooperating, and we've got a deadline. On June 3rd, we plan to tow our fifth wheel from Bowling Green to London, Kentucky for the rally. That's only about 100 miles, but with a fresh built truck, 100 miles can feel like 1,000. I don't know if it's going to make it yet, but by God, we're about to find out.
Good morning, guys. We're getting close to the London rally, and I got a lot of work to do, and I'm having some issues with the dually. It's running pretty good, so I've driven about 150-ish miles, and we've kind of run into some issues with it that we expected to have. And so kind of going to show you a few things I'm working through on this truck to kind of show you what I got to get done before we get it to the rally. And anytime you take one completely apart and put it back together, yeah, there's just things that you've got to work through. And so I'm going to kind of show you. I'm not going to show you, this is not the debut of the truck. That's coming up probably in about a week or so. I want to show you. First things first, I don't know if you can see that or not down here, but we're getting a ton of oil out of the turbo right now. I don't know if that's because it's freshly rebuilt or we got too much crankcase pressure, which is a real thing. And then we were driving it and we heard a big pop the other day, and I'm going to show you this. So if you look at that right there, that is your bump stop for your front end. And right above it is the hat for your spring, and they're not supposed to touch. And so there's no suspension up and down in the front end. So I'm over here at Josh Clark's place, and he is like a lowered truck guru. He is going to change those front springs for me to try to pick up the front end about an inch to get it off of that. And there is a very good chance that we may end up shortening that some too. So those springs on that, which I won't be here for, they're going to get replaced. And if you know anything about these old trucks and these front ends, these coil springs are wicked. Yeah, they're dangerous. So those are the ones that like to knock your teeth out. We've had them in and out ourselves before, but Josh is going to work on this. This is kind of Josh's specialty, if you will, and we're going to get that squared away. Just had this thing aligned, which sucks because once we change these springs and all this comes apart, raises the front end up, and now we're going to have to align it. That's something I've got to get squared away, and then I'm going to show you one other major problem. And what I mean by major problem is just something that we have to get squared away and kind of get fixed. I got Chris over here. What's your last name, Chris?
McCary.
Chris McCary, who is a resident Dakota digital wiring guru, and he loves figuring out wiring that he didn't do. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah.
He said, yeah, that's a fair statement. I'm not gonna put him on camera unless he wants to be on camera. But the other issue is, let me see if you guys can see this. That thing there is the cross member. And we knew it was low, and we wanted to drive it and kind of fiddle with it some and get that part figured out. But we got to remake one of those because if I hit an expansion joint or something, I could lose my transmission. I'd say there's only about 3 inches between that and the ground. So we're going to make another cross member that sits closer to this frame rail, which should give me another 3 inches of clearance, which should be good. So those are kind of my big issues we're having right now. The truck itself is like turning out pretty good. I'm really happy with it. I'm not going to give you a full debut, but I'll kind of give you just a quick walk around on it. We're not going to show you everything. That's coming up in a debut, well, maybe next weekend. So, which next weekend will be the, I think the next weekend after this video will be the London rally. So all the guys will actually get to see this truck. It's coming together slowly but surely. I got a lot of work to do. So we've got a few things to get done yet. Chris is trying to figure out my fuel temperature gauge was working and it quit working. That's a really important one. Or not my fuel, but my water temperature gauge was stopped working. I got my oil pressure gauge and water temperature gauge. Kind of telling Chris back here, those are the two must-haves. Everything else is kind of a bonus. The speedometer works because it's off GPS. So he's trying to figure out why I don't have water temperature and figure out my fuel gauge deal. Once we get that kind of squared away, that'd be good. And then I got to get the front end up about an inch off those bump stops. So that's going to be all new springs, get that done. And then we get into things like the AC is probably not going to be hooked up before I get to the farm. And then I got to get the parking brake done, which if you've ever done a parking brake on one of these trucks, it sucks. It sucks in the worst way because you got to pull the hubs off, and basically the parking brake goes inside the brake hubs, which I'm gonna take it to the shop to get done because I don't have the time or the patience really to know how to do that. But anyway, so that's getting done, and the same guy that's doing my parking brakes is gonna make all custom AC lines for it. And I'm sure I'm forgetting a laundry list. The door locks don't work. The windows go up and down. That's important if you don't have AC. Which the cool part about these old trucks is the windows down on these are perfect. They designed these trucks for the windows to be down. Come on in here, Josh. What else do we got to get done on this truck? So,
still have to fix the front springs, front shocks,
the front
shocks.
cross member.
Transmission cross member has to be rebuilt on it. We still got to fix the turbo on it.
So I'm gonna ask you guys this, and so the turbo, we're getting oil out of the back of the turbo housing, and so I talked to the turbo guy, and he said that was probably crankcase pressure, and then I talked to the guy. So this is a fresh engine, so it's got 150 miles on it, and it's been bored 20 over. New cam.
To them, it had 102 until I put 20 on it.
So Josh took it to lunch yesterday and got lots of thumbs up, and some kid that was trying to do an incognito video of it, he was telling me. But we got to get that done, get that turbo deal figured out, and then outside of that, it's all I like is finishing. So when you see it at the farm, if it makes it to the farm, which is still a big if, there's a possibility that it won't be completely done. It'll be done enough to get us there. And I've worked out a deal with some of our base camp members. Logan and Nicole from Arkansas are actually going to follow us from Bowling Green to the farm in case we don't make it, which is also a real possibility. Hey, it's just one of these things. You take a truck down to the frame, change everything on it but the rivets in the frame, stuff goes wrong. It's going to have a few gremlins. The windshield wipers work, just got to put them on. I might do that here in a minute. But I do not have windshield washer pumpage, fluid pumpage yet, so that's coming up too. So anyway, I just want to give you guys a quick update. I know a lot of you guys have been asking if this thing's going to be at the farm, and the plan is still yes. Chris?
Yeah.
What are your odds of me pulling a fifth wheel with this June the 3rd?
I mean, depending on what else you have to do to it. I mean, it's 50.
All right, I was going to go 70-30. Chris is going 50-50. So you're saying there's a chance? Well, I'm going to get out of these guys' way. I don't want to be in their way. Everybody is all about the camera until the camera comes out. Then everybody runs like cockroaches when the lights come on. So I'm going to show you.
I just didn't figure you wanted to bleep me out that much.
I'm going to show you guys Josh's daily driver, then I'm going to get out of here. When I tell you Josh likes lower trucks, this is his daily driver. This is a 39 Dodge. And he runs around in town on this, says it will go anywhere that you want it to go. And this is what you get when you get into the cool truck scene. So this is his daily. And you can see it's slammed. And he said, oh, it's not making, I'm sure it's a blown. He's a Dodge nut, and that is a blower on it. And he's like, oh, it doesn't make that much boost. It's only like 3 pounds. But of course the reason I come over here is Josh does all this pinstriping. He's one of the few guys that still pinstripes by hand. So, and he's built some stuff kind of like all this work here, which is on my truck. Something he striped my truck for me. He's one of the few guys that still does all this stuff by hand. And so that's why I wanted to kind of get to that, because I was trying to keep that old school look. But anyway, so that's Josh's truck. I'm gonna shut his lights off in his paint booth. I walked in here like I own a joint. Not really cool, but yeah. I'm gonna get out of these guys away, let them do their thing. Hopefully pick up a truck in a few days. Hopefully Chris is still friends with me after this is all said and done. He's he grunted. So, all right guys, thanks for watching. See you on our next adventure.